ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna turn you over now to the actual State of the Freeport address. And right now, we have the Subic Bay Freeport Chamber of Commerce Corporate Secretary, Zedric Avesilia.
To introduce the chairman and administrator. And
Here we go.
Was veritably on its knees with, with hardly any solutions in sight. Institutionalized problems such as lack of developable land, aging infrastructure, underutilized assets, and a bundle of various problematic accounts aggravated huge financial issues. After a mere 2 years of stewardship, the SBMA, through the leadership of today's guest speaker, have registered two of the highest marks in revenue and operating income in SBMA's 21-year history. To further galvanize the financial strength of the agency, he led the charge for a financial restructuring plan in 2013 that not only allowed the agency to pay two of its foreign loans, but allowed as well for a 2-year grace period in order to increase the income and investment generating capacity of the SBMA unhindered by high interest costs. After addressing several problematic accounts with the finesse only one can expect of a true professional, he boldly led the charge for the imposition of fiscal policies within the SBFZ that, although controversial, were necessary in order to ensure the viability of the SBMA and the SBFZ on the long term. These are merely highlights of the achievements of the agency since today's guest speaker has taken over. To be sure, his performance and ultimately the SBMA has been nothing short of inspiring. There is much more to look forward from SBMA. Definitely the best is yet to come. In the meantime, it is my honor to introduce the man who brought SBMA closer to the dream of a better Subic Bay. Ladies and gentlemen, Chairman Roberto V. Garcia.
Good afternoon. Today is a very special day for SBMA as the agency is pleased to present our accomplishments in 2014 and to show you what are the future directions of the agency. As I said, it's very special because, as you can see from that slide, 2014 is the best ever year for SBMA. And I will show that to you in the subsequent slides. But before that, I just want to acknowledge again the presence of Mayor Rodriguez of San Marcelino, Mayor Antipolo of San Antonio. I want to also acknowledge the presence of our board directors. If I can please ask them, Director Buboy Pineda, Director Bubong Antonio, Director Francis Garcia, and Director Cynthia Paulino. Can you please stand? I want to also acknowledge ang ating mga kapatid na galing sa Pastoran Aita na pinamumunuan po ni Cap Frenilia, ni Bonnie, ni Cap Bonnie, at saka si Tata Kasoy. Tumayo po kayo. Mayaman na po yung mga yan. Ang binigay namin sa kanila last year, 15 million. Kaya maraming pera sila ngayon. And in fact, Caprinilla, for your information, kapipirma ko lang kanina, yung share nyo para sa 2014, pinoprocess na, 2.5 million lang po. I want to acknowledge especially President Rose Baldeo, and the directors of the Subic Chamber. I especially thank them for hosting this event annually. The Chamber, under the leadership of President Rose, has been doing very well. We have been working on many projects together, and marami silang pera, kaya may pagkain tayo mamaya. Before I forget, I want to acknowledge also my wife Mariby, my daughter Ria, and my grandson Kenzo. Having said that, you know, this is my third sofa. And the past 3 years, as I always say, has always been 3 years of the most difficult part of my life. You cannot imagine the problems here in SBMA that we have tried to tackle over the past 3 years. And as I always say, this is my first and my last job working for the government. But the past 3 years also has been one of the most fulfilling parts of my life, in the sense that we have seen the transformation of SBMA from what it was before this new administration came in and what it has accomplished so far today. So I would like to start off. I will try to make this as short as possible. The first draft of this was around 80 slides, but I've managed to cut it down, I think, to around 50. So here goes. In order to appreciate what happened in 2014 as far as the agency is concerned, it's very important to see where the Philippine economy was in 2014, because the Philippine economy has changed. And because of this change, SBMA has benefited from the opportunities caused by this drastic change in the Philippine economy. The president of the World Bank, Jim Yong Kim, said, "The Philippines is the next Asian miracle and a global model in fighting corruption as it emerges from decades as a regional economic laggard." As recent as 5 to 10 years ago, remember, the Philippines was always called the sick man of Asia. While Malaysia, Thailand, all of the tiger economies were running ahead, the Philippines was always at the bottom. But in the past 3 years of the Aquino administration, this has turned around. And so even the World Bank has said that the Philippines will be the next economic miracle. If you look at GDP growth, you can see in 2014, for the whole year, the Philippines was able to sustain its growth rate of 6.1%. Let me emphasize that this is second only to China in the whole Asian region. So all of the dragons before, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore even, the Philippines beat all of them. We did 6.1 GDP. What were the reasons for this? Mainly, I think the Philippines has gotten its act together to some extent, because here we still have a lot of improvement to do, just like we're doing here in SBMA. You can see that the ease of doing business in the Philippines, we gained 30 points in the World Bank report. In the World Economic Forum, 6 points, 6 places. Economic freedom of the world, we improved 5 places. And in the Index of Economic Freedom, we jumped 10 places. So this shows you the ongoing improvement as far as governance is concerned. Because of this, we have also improved our ranking. If you look at the figures in 2010, we have a big improvement. We are now number 59 in terms of the most competitive countries in the world. In terms of our credit ratings, again, we have all been upgraded by the three Fitch ratings, Standard & Poor's and Moody's. To remember, Philippine credit status before 5 years ago was junk. Our credit rating was junk. And now we are almost investment grade. So this is a very big jump. And this is one of the major reasons why many foreign investors are now coming to the Philippines. Confidence in the currency and in the fiscal policies. In this survey done by the Manila Bulletin, you can see that in terms of the most popular expansion destination, the Philippines ranks 49. We are one of the most preferred investment destinations now in Asia. And this is very compelling information. You can see, while our ASEAN neighbors have led in FDI, foreign direct investments, the Philippines has always lagged behind. Can you imagine, in 2013, we only had 3.8 billion. Do you know that Vietnam, in 2013, had a foreign direct investment of $8 billion? But, again, suddenly, in 2014, because all of the good hype, all of the good press, the Philippines has now jumped to 6.2 billion. So, against this backdrop, as I said, SBMA was very lucky in the past 3 years because we were now participating in a very resurgent economy, and the increase in economic activity in the country spilled over, and we took advantage of these opportunities. So what happened in SBMA in 2014? These are the revenues per strategic business unit. Recently, we have divided the Freeport into 3 business units. First is maritime and logistics. Second is industrial and commercial leases. And the third strategic business unit is tourism. The reason why we've done this is because it allows us now to focus more on developing tourism. So in other words, tourism will now do their own marketing, they will do their own processing, they will handle all of the clients that are part of the tourism strategic unit. So you can see that in 2014, we had big revenue gains across all sectors of the Freeport. Maritime and logistics is up by 45%, industrial and commercial leases by 12%, and tourism by 61%. And the total operating revenue of SBMA went up by 21%. Let's go now to the Maritime and Logistics Strategic Business Unit. These are the figures. As you can see, they are all positive, and positive in a very significant way. As I said, revenues 45%. In terms of the container port that was languishing at 7% capacity utilization, we took advantage of the port congestion problem in Manila, and because of that, we were now able to increase the volume by 105%. This is really a very big boost as far as SBMA is concerned. Remember, SBMA has an outstanding 8 billion peso loan for this JICA project port, and I pay 500 million in amortization for that container port. So there is strong pressure for me to really increase the utilization of the port to its maximum capacity. But you can see, because of the increased economic activity, it was not only in the container volume where we achieved big increases, but even in non-containerized cargo. You can see an increase of 154%. The number of ships that visited us last year is up by 19%, from 2,000 to 2,600. That means, you know, they are delivering more goods and exporting more goods to other countries. And if you look at the gross registered tonnage, again, that figure is up by 20%. So these are all very substantial gains as far as the maritime and logistics is concerned. Just some explanation. We were very active in the port congestion cluster headed by Secretarial Mendras, and that resulted in Subic being named as an alternate port to Manila. We also reduced, to attract more shipping lines to come in, we reduced the harbor and the berthing fees for shipping lines. We hosted a traffic summit to address the congestion problems that are now starting to happen in Subic. And we did an aggressive marketing with me delivering speeches at AISL, the Chamber of Customs Brokers, the Clark and the AFAB locators, the Philippine Shipping Association, and at the 8th Philippine Ports Authority Conference. In fact, tomorrow I have another speaking engagement. I am guest of honor at the Philippine International Sea Freight Forwarders Association, because suddenly everybody is now interested in Subic. So the forwarders, the brokers, the truckers, the shipping lines, no? And we want to capitalize on this issue while the issue is still very hot, no? If you remember, before last year, we only had 2 shipping lines coming into Subic Bay, One High and APL, the 2 at the end. Both originate from Long Beach, California. They go to Kaohsiung, then they come to Subic. But again, because of the port congestion and because of the fact that we worked very hard to lobby with the shipping lines to come here to Subic, we added 3 more. So NYK, as you can see, their rotation is Singapore. They connect us mainly to Japan. In terms of SITC, they connect us to China directly. So you can see Shanghai. And then Maersk is also through ASEAN, no, and Korea. So with these 5 shipping lines right now, Subic is connected to the world. Because once you have Singapore, you have Middle East, you have Africa, and you have Europe. So there is no place in the world that we cannot ship to. So this is very important, and we hope to convince more and more locators in Central and Northern Luzon to locate here. In terms of the second strategic business unit, investments, you can see here that our investments are up by 414%, and the cumulative investments from the start now stand at $9.1 billion. This is a summary of the major top 10 approved investments in the commercial and industrial leasing SBU. So you can see the figures there. They're basically involved in flour manufacturing, in sheet metals, in marine operations, real estate development. I point also to Converge Information, which mission is to connect the whole port by fiber. So the whole Freeport right now, the central business district, is connected by fiber. And they're going to connect eventually even up to the Morong Gate so that locators in that area like Ocean Adventure, Subic Safari will have fiber connection for better internet access. This is a major area that we've devoted to, because the problem in SBMA is that we only have 300 hectares out of the developable land that is still available for lease. While our area of 67,000 hectares is very big, 80 or 90% of that is rainforest, which we cannot touch. And the area of the secured Freeport is only 13,000 hectares, again, which is mainly rainforest and water, which we cannot touch. So it's important that we are able to expand the Freeport so that we can accommodate more investors. So we have 4 initiatives. The first is with Mayor Antipolo of San Antonio, and the Sanggunian has approved a resolution working out an arrangement in which 10,000 hectares, which will cover the tourist spots or the beautiful beaches on the western side of Zambales, Nagsasa, Silangin, Anawangin. We will try to jointly develop that together with the good Mayor Antipolo of San Antonio. These are beautiful beaches. I don't know if you've been there, but these are, really, really very, very attractive for investments in tourism. In Subic Zambales, we are also talking about 50 hectares with the local government because, as you know, shipbuilding, Hanjin is a major, but we have no more land on the coastal area to offer to these locators. The Japanese shipping companies have been here. They've looked at that also for other kinds of operations like an oil depot, but we have no land there. So the fourth one is in Castillejo, Zambales. Also, we're looking to work with the mayor and the local government for industrial development, for light manufacturing industries and warehousing. And finally, in Olongapo City, there's 900 hectares there that is being considered by the council and the mayor to develop together with SBMA for commercial, residential, mixed use, and ecotourism development. Again, in terms of the industrial and commercial, we have 11.4 committed investments, around 800 jobs. The big thing here is Hanjin. Last year in 2013 rather, Hanjin went into a slump because it was affected by the overall glut in shipbuilding. But towards the second part of last year, their workers went down to 17,000. But as of now, they've been hiring, and the workforce of Hanjin now stands at 26,000 workers. They have an order book. This year they will deliver, I think, 26 or 27 ships compared to 22 in the previous year. Other initiatives, as you all know, the Supreme Court has already issued a unanimous 13-0 ruling that the RP Energy plant can now go ahead. So this hopefully will result in adequate and lower priced power for the Freeport. The Pastolan ITA's approval, this has gone through the NCIP process. They will be starting construction very soon to put up a 100 megawatt solar and 20 megawatt wind renewable energy project in Pastolan. As I mentioned, these were the Hanjin figures. Even our other major account, Vale, the Vale Transshipment project, increased their volume by 19% versus 2013. So this is the reason why all of the figures in the seaport are up. In terms of tourism, the third strategic business unit, you can see our arrivals are up by 12%. In terms of MICE, meetings, incentives, conventions, and exhibitions, you can see that in number of events, we're up by 43%, and in number of participants, we're up by 94%. So SBMA has really become a favorite place for conventions and conferences. In terms of sports events, the number of events also went up 38%, but we only were able to achieve a 1% increase in the number of participants. But you can see that the number of international contestants has increased. For your information, in the recently included Ironman triathlon, this was the triathlon with the highest number of foreign participants of any triathlon held in the Philippines. They had representatives from 37 countries. This is the completed hotel projects, Freeport Elite, Mansion Garden. We have a brand new hotel, the Subic Grand Harbor Hotel, Sun Plaza Subic, Wow World, Interpark, and Moon Bay Marina Villas. You see, this is the biggest advantage of SBMA. We have by now 2,900 hotel rooms compared to Clark that only has 900 rooms. And this is the reason why they held APEC here. Part of the APEC meetings were held here because there were simply not enough hotel rooms in the Clark area to accommodate the 1,600 APEC delegates in the early part of this year. So we are playing this to our advantage. You can see by the amount of investments going into the hotels are very bullish as far as tourism and MICE are concerned. In terms of strategic initiatives, this is according to the DOT regional report. Subic is the #1 tourist destination in the Philippines, okay, with 1.2 million tourists, followed by Clark, which is only half of the volume that the Subic Freeport does. And we enjoyed the highest occupancy rate in Central Luzon at 69% compared to the average of 62% for the region. So this shows you how robust our tourism is at this point in time. We signed a 3-year MOA. Remember, Century Tuna 5150 was here for 3 years. So now they've switched. Century Tuna is now the sponsor of the Ironman 70.3. They signed up with us for 3 years. And the 5150 will continue for another 3 years with a new sponsor. The new sponsor, I think, is Summit. We are also, as I said, because of this, Subic is really now the undisputed triathlon capital of the Philippines. And we continue to promote Subic as the theme park capital of the Philippines because we have all of these ecotourism-based theme parks. We have Ocean Adventure, we have Subic Safari, we have Treetop Adventure, and we have the Magaul Bird Park. So again, we're going to strongly promote that. And also, we are known as the sailing capital of the Philippines. Dirk. And lastly, what happened last year, we had the Advertising Summit. This was the Advertising Congress, which is considered the most prestigious and the largest MICE event in the country. And for your information, yesterday, we received notice from the Ad Summit and they have officially notified me that they have decided to hold the Ad Summit again in Subic Bay next year. So they really enjoyed and think that Subic is the best place for them. I know this is a concern, especially for our locators and our residents, but this is the history of our crime rate. Last year, we had, from 38, we went down to 31 crime incidents. These are mostly petty theft and involve mainly, take for example, areas in Kalayaan, which has been a perennial problem since the time of the Americans. But hopefully, with our improved security procedures and equipment, this will be reduced further. So we have the brand new vehicles. We were also recognized by PNP for our assistance in the capture of that big shabu shipment in Subic, worth 2.5 billion. Substantial decrease in crime rate, and we have implementation of new traffic rules and higher penalties to maintain traffic discipline within the Freeport. In terms of the 5% GIE tax, because apparently many of the locators did better, so they paid higher taxes, plus the fact there were new entrants into the economy. The 5% tax of 497 million went up by 36%. So all of the LGUs are receiving much larger allocations now compared to last year, and we hope that we will continue to increase this as business in the Freeport also increases. We remitted out of the 497 million, by the way, 3% or 298 million to the national government. Again, an increase of 41%. In terms of jobs, exports, and government collections, you can see employment from 89,000 has gone up by 9%. This is a very important factor that I always look at, because all of this investment must result in inclusive growth. It must result in more jobs for the people of Zambales and Bataan. Exports are also up by 58%, BIR collection 27%, and BOC cash collection 36%. I wonder if RDO Ray Heli is present. Can we please give a hand to RDO Ray Heli for his outstanding performance? And I also want to know if General Marcos is here. Okay, General Marcos. You know, since General Marcos came in, Subic has been recognized as one of the top performers in the Bureau of Customs. You can see, from 11 billion to 15 billion, 36% increase. So that deserves a second round of applause. Kaya General, huwag kang aalis dito ha. Hindi ako papayag. Okay? I heard news that he may be assigned elsewhere. And I'm going to talk to Secretary Purisima not to do that. He's done a very good job together with his team. The other good governance initiatives, well, first we have the 10% salary increase, which we've been negotiating with Malacanang for the past 3 years. That was finally approved 2 weeks ago. We have also budgeted the amount of 400 million for increases under the salary standardization law, because we are still, even with the 10% increase, below the salary standardization law. We also gave 243 million to the national government in dividends. Last March or April, I think, SBMA was number 9 out of the total 39 GOCCs in terms of remitting dividends to the national government. As you all know, number 1, of course, is PAGCOR. The number 2 is Land Bank. Number 3 is Development Bank. Can you imagine SBMA was number 9? So this is really a very big accomplishment, and the President was, of course, very happy. Remember, SBMA has not remitted dividends to the national government since 2005. And at that time, we only remitted a very small amount. Fourth is the institutionalization of the Integrity Program, Integrity Pledge, which is our continuing fight against corruption in the Freeport. Over 150 locators have signed up, and we are going to campaign that everybody sign up on this Integrity Pledge so that we can ensure that corruption is eliminated in the Freeport. So we will ask the LGUs, the other government agencies like BIR, BOC. I think, no, BOC signed already, no? At saka BIR, they have signed already the Integrity Pledge. Also, the signing of the IRR with the ITAS and NCIP for the full implementation of the Joint Management Agreement. We also held the first Women's Summit to promote the welfare and development of women folk. By the way, on Thursday at 4 o'clock, we will be having a march for the women folk and honoring the women for the Women's Day celebration. And finally, we got a renewal of our certification for ISO, which shows that management has been able to constantly make sure that there are no major deficiencies in our processes and that we can deliver better service to our. In terms of environmental protection, the strictness of our transport effluent, 2 military jeeps. I remember I had a chairman's golf tournament last year, so they raised proceeds of around 700,000, and that was donated to SBMA in terms of 2 military jeeps, which are now patrolling the forests to make sure that illegal logging and kaingin is eliminated or at least minimized. My nest sea turtle, this is, again, is another project of ecology. I don't know if you've been witness to this, but this is something that you should really try to attend, because I've already participated in one of these, in which you return the turtles, the baby turtles, to the sea. No? And we have that in Camayan Beach, we have that in Grande Island, we have that in Dangari Beach, we have that in All Hands Beach. All of these beaches are nesting places for the pawikan. And of course, these are just a summary of the other environmental protection efforts that we are exerting. Other accomplishments, the INAP conference, which is intended to promote intra-ASEAN trade. Also, we're very proud of this. The SBMA rescue team, headed by Fire Chief Rani Magno, won for the 3rd time Best Government Emergency Team in Central Luzon, and they have been elevated to the Hall of Fame. Let's give him a big hand if he's here. The next award, if they win it one more time, they will be elevated to the National Hall of Fame. No? So this is a very, very high honor for SBMA. These are just some other accomplishments as far as good governance is concerned. In terms of Operation Facelift, I hope you've noticed that there is a big improvement now in terms of how the Freeport looks. We have a new mini park in the Malawan area. You can see the streets are cleaner. We're addressing the signage problem. We're getting the locators involved in trying to beautify so that the Freeport overall becomes more attractive to tourists especially. Okay, let's run now to financial performance. Again, as I said, this is the best year ever because this is the third record year in a row. In terms of gross revenues, 2014 is the highest ever. You can see that there was a 21% increase. Total SBMA revenues now stand at 2.5 billion compared to 2 billion in the previous year. Now, we plotted the old accounts that we had because I wanted to find out where this growth was coming from. So you can see steadily from 2012, 13, and 14, the new business or the new revenue has come from new initiatives. Now, the blue line signifies the present locators in 2011, but the red line shows that 36% of the total revenues now come from new sources, new locators, new economic activity. In terms of operating income, again, 2014 is the highest ever, registering an increase of, I can't see it, but you can see from the graph, again, it's the highest in the past 3 years and the highest in the whole history of the agency. In terms of net income, again, you can see from 2011, you can see the previous years of losses. So the past 3 years, from 800 to 1.1 to 1.6, shows that this is really the best year ever for SBMA. You know, our philosophy in SBMA is always, we have to look what our competition is doing so that we can plan properly, we can set higher targets, so we know who we're competing against. So I just want to show you 2 slides. This is a chart of all of the Freeports. You have SBMA, PESA. PESA is not a Freeport. PESA just manages, okay? They manage all of the eco zones in the country. So our main competitor really is CDC, Clark, Cagayan Export Zone, AFAB in Bataan, and Poro Point. So you can see when I say that SBMA is the largest and the most progressive Freeport in the country today, this is the evidence. We are largest in terms of total assets. You can see there, we have assets of 28 billion compared to Clark and all of the others. In terms of total equity, we're also the largest. Actually, we should not compare this because, as I said, they are not a Freeport. This represents the license fees paid by all of the locators in all of the PESA zones. But if we eliminate that, again, SBMA is the highest and Clark is only half. So you can see that we are really the largest. And in terms of net income, even we beat PESA. No. So in terms of net income, we are 3 times higher than Clark. So with this as a background, it's important that SBMA, in spite of this, I think we should continue to do the best that we can because we have all of the opportunities and the blessings available to improve our situation further. Again, in terms of investments, you can see here, we only have data for CESA and for Clark. Clark did 13 billion last year compared to our 18, and CESA did 619 million. So again, even in terms of investments, kahit kulang na ang lupa natin dito sa SBMA, in terms of investments, number one pa rin tayo. Okay, with this performance now, of course, the natural question to ask is, what is the future for SBMA? And from where I stand right now, I can only say one thing. The future looks exceedingly bright for SBMA. I'll show you why. Do you believe this graph? This, for me, when I saw these figures, I said, I cannot believe that graph. The Philippines is going to be the third fastest growing country in the whole world. Ang tatalo lang sa atin, China and India. But look at this. So what does this mean for the Philippines? No? It means more foreign investments. It means for more jobs. It means the ground is ripe for SBMA to capitalize again on this opportunity. What are the threats? Looming power shortage in Luzon and Visayas this summer. We know that's coming. That's been announced. And for your information, we have negotiated with One Subic Power. I know many of you are worried about the brownouts. We've negotiated with them. Number one, we're saying that SBMA is an industrial, so we should be the last priority on the brownout schedule. Number two, we have asked the 116 megawatt diesel plant operated by One Subic Power to be able to supply SBMA directly if the national grid goes down. And on Tuesday, there is a meeting in which we will get the approval of EnerZone and NGCP to do this. Now, as long as the terms and the prices are correct, what will happen is we will have no brownout. Okay? I know especially for the Japanese, the Taiwanese companies, this is very important, but we will have to see. At least we can be without the problems of the brownouts if we are able to conclude this project successfully. Financial incentives, well, of course, there's a plan to build a mega port in outside Metro Manila, but we don't think that's feasible. Of course, the political activities, especially it started already in June. Don't expect anything more to happen in the government because everybody is going to be talking about politics. This ranking of 101st also provides opportunities to SBMA because we are now the only seaport on the western seaboard that has capacity. So what are the opportunities? ASEAN integration for a logistics hub. The opportunity is that the congestion in Manila will continue, and I can assure you, in spite of what you read in the papers, the port congestion in Manila will not only continue, it will get worse. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because even the DTI says, if the Philippines continues to grow at 6%, the volume of 3 million containers that is passing through Manila now will double within the next 3 to 5 years. If Manila is now choking with 3 million containers, just imagine what is going to happen with 6 million containers. Maawa po kayo. That's why we are preparing for that in Subic, because Subic will surely catch the spillover from Manila. Major PPP projects, again, that will also improve access of Subic to Manila, the Port of Manila. Integrated. In terms of MNTC, we've met with them already, and we have agreed, and we have been given authority to expand Tipo Road. Tipo is going to be expanded to a 2x2 instead of a one by one. No? Sometimes it becomes three. No? But in anticipation of the volume, MNTC is going to expand Tipo Road. So what are the strategic directions overall? And first of all, I'm saying from what I've seen in the past 3 years, I think SBMA is over-regulating. No, I want to move SBMA to a more liberal developmental mode. No? So that means that we will be simplifying procedures. We will be making it easier for the locators to do business here. And I will explain that to you in the subsequent slides. We want to expand the Freeport through the territorial adjustments that we're making with the LGUs. We need new industrial parks. Our aim is to develop at least a 500-hectare industrial park to accommodate all of these Chinese, Taiwanese companies that want to locate in the Philippines. Again, capitalize on the economic boom, and then focus on game-changing projects. No? What do I mean by game-changing projects? I will explain that later, but projects that will really change the character of SBMA. I will mention that later on. And of course, what we want to do is we want to institutionalize all our good governance initiatives, no? Like the Integrity Pledge. So these are the general directions again for the 3 strategic business units. Aggressive promotion from 78, we're targeting at least 120,000 TEUs next year. As I mentioned, we will expand Tipo Road. This will take 2 years. No. It's going to cost 1.8 billion. It will take 2 years to expand Tipo Road to a legitimate 2x2. We are going to initiate a feasibility study also to expand our container port. By the way, we are having a second maritime summit on April 24, and you are all invited so that we can drum up more support. And we need to support Hanjin and Valley because these are our 2 biggest maritime accounts. No? And it is into our interest to give them the full support that they deserve. As I mentioned, additional industrial park at least. BPOs. This is a game changer. No? What I mean by a game changer. My observation in SBMA is that after 8, 9 o'clock, it dies. Why? Because the overnight population here in SBMA is only around 7,000 people. Now, if we bring in the BPOs, let's say 15,000 BPOs, that will change the whole complexion of SBMA. Because SBMA will now become a 24/7 economy. Okay? The small businesses, the small restaurants, the dry cleaners, the restaurants, all of these people will benefit because you will have a high income with capacity to spend. So we are targeting that 15,000. There are opportunities there for housing, as I said, and so many other things. So this is a game changer for me. And we're going to concentrate to really bring that in. That has a lot of problems. No? I've been trying to do that for the past 2 years, but unsuccessfully. But this is a game changer if we're successful. Also, we want to encourage more developers to do residential here. As you know, the residential market in the Freeport is now on an upswing. Prices are much higher now than they were before. To give you an example, whenever SBMA repossesses a house on the market, because there are so many offers, what we do is we award it based on best offer. And we've done this already successfully. The last one we did, the published price of the house was $55,000. There were 9 bidders, and the highest bid came out to $82,000. So that shows you how strong the demand for housing is here in the Freeport. And then, um, just to say, bring in again high value-added, high-technology industries. As far as tourism is concerned, MICE and sports, again, we have to market that. We have to launch a campaign to create a brand image for Subic, which we are developing already now. And this is where I need the support of the tourist establishments, the hotels, the theme parks, so we can really come out with a campaign that will brand Subic really as the tourism destination. Sports capital, theme park capital, triathlon capital, sailing capital of the Philippines. Important trade fairs. We are going to renovate SBEC. Okay, I've made a commitment already to the Ad Summit. We're going to start with the bathrooms, but we're going to spend, I estimate, maybe 50 million at least to renovate this, so that it can become more attractive. Again, benchmarking. For those of you who have gone to Clark, you should visit Fontana. They have a brand new convention center there. And it is beautiful. So, if you compare SBEC and that, parang warehouse tayo. So, I sent all of our construction engineering people there. I said, look at that. We've got to renovate because we are going to lose business to Clark if we don't do something about this SBEC. Ongoing, again, there are a lot of ongoing leisure projects, Peninsula Hotel, Vasco's, Grand Pillar, Sands of Triboa, for completion in 2015 and later. In terms of the good governance strategic initiatives, this is what I mean by making it more developmental. The first one, the board in the last board meeting finally came out with a resolution that we will now just issue the 3-year CRTE or CR. Okay? That will be valid for 3 years, automatic renewal. There will be no more BPTO. Okay? There will be no more BPTO. Okay? But during that 3-year period, you will be visited at least once by the RMU, once in 3 years. So you can be visited tomorrow or you can be visited after 3 years. And of course, if there are complaints, you will be visited. But again, we want to make this as convenient as possible. 3 years, once you get your CRT, that is also your business permit to operate. So you only have one document, CRT or CR. Okay? So this is what I mean by deregulation and more developmental. We don't want to disturb you by giving you all of these problems and filling out checklists, etc. We trust you and we want your business to grow. So this is the developmental approach that we have taken. That board resolution has been passed. We will make it effective as soon as possible. We are also going to further improve our employee salaries, which have been dejado for the past couple of years. No? We are still 20% below SSL. And I really feel now that we have the money, that the employees, the management, and the staff deserve the proper salaries in compensation for their efforts. Malaki yan. Malaki yan. If we count back the salary standardization to 2009, and assuming this is approved by DBM and the President, we have allocated already 400 million for this. We hope that will happen this year. As I said, we are also coming out with a new organizational structure based on the SBUs, tourism, maritime logistics, and commercial industrial leases. And then we will have support services at the side supporting 3 of the operating units. I've mentioned that already, the crusade against corruption. Again, we also continue to improve peace and order. And lastly, we are going to invest. This is in our budget already. Actually, 836 million. Out of the profits that we've made over the past 3 years, our cash position has risen from 400 million when I started. We now have, as of today, 2,134,000,000 in the bank, free cash. So we are allocating that for the salaries and for the CapEx. Why do we need that CapEx? Because if you look at SBMA, we're like a poor relative. All our equipment, garbage equipment is down. Our heavy equipment is always in the shop. Our people are brought to their workplaces in dump trucks. Our service vehicles, nakakaya. No? So sabi ko, maybe we should take out the SBMA sticker because if you see the SBMA service vehicles, I was with JICA dun sa last week. Sabi ko doon, anong dala niyo sa sasakyan? Yan, sir. Sabi ko, itabi mo. Baka makita ng mga... Sabihin nila, wala ba? I mean, you know, SBMA has to present a professional outlook. So we are spending 800 million. For your information, the capex of SBMA over the past 22 years averaged only 10 million pesos a year. 10 million pesos. That's your budget for capex. But that has, because of the losses of SBMA, that is the only amount that they have been able to put aside. How can you spend what you don't have? So just to give you an idea of what this capex is, we're going to improve the roads, 53 million. These are the detailed Magsaysay Bridge. We're going to look at Magsaysay Bridge because it's becoming now a threat. Rehabilitation of Apari Road, we're going to improve the ports. Enhancement of offshore port lights, refurbishment, enhancement of SBMA operations, a new ERPS. We're going to buy new computers. Our computers are all infected by viruses, so we need now to buy new computers. Purchase of service vehicles, security and safety projects, we're going to be spending 70 million. A brand new CCTV system. Also, our armory needs some refurbishing. If you'll notice the shotguns of the team kanina, they're only for decoration. They do not fire. 2 units highway patrol. Improvement of SBMA services. We need heavy equipment, dump trucks, drop side, compactors for our garbage. The Kalayaan people, Biniktikan, they all complain about the garbage, and it's because of this. So we now need to really, really invest. Disaster and risk reduction, fire trucks, military stake, a new ambulance. The corporate responsibility, our obligations to the ITAS. The last point is the SBMA Corporate Center. Now, the reason why we are thinking of moving into a new corporate center, actually it's a building that is existing already, is because if you look where building 229 is, my office, that's 3 hectares. That is the highest priced land in the Freeport, 167 pesos per square meter per month. That lot is valued at 700 billion. So, I have no business being in the highest priced land of the Freeport. So we are going to destroy all the buildings, offer that to whoever wants to develop it into a hotel, a casino, or a resort. And we will move our offices to another place in which also we can have new computers, better working environment. Do you know, in building 255, even in my building, when rainy season comes, it's dripping inside the office, okay? But purposely, I said, let's not spend on that anymore. Let's get out of here. Let's give SBMA a proper office headquarters and administration so that when visitors come, you know, they will get impressed, no? For those of you who've been to my office, you see my carpet, naka-masking tape, no? And I don't think, you know, the visitors might find that amusing, but in the end, it leaves a bad impression. They're saying, I mean, you know, can't SBMA even buy a new carpet for its chairman? So we will move. So that's the big expense there. So the total is 836 million. And our challenge in SBMA, I can tell you this, and this is one of the most frustrating things for me in SBMA, the difficulty, even if we have the money. Do you know the Republic Act 9184 is designed to torture you? Maswerte ka na. 4 months, ha? Assuming successful ang bidding mo, maswerte ka 4 months. Isang lata ng pintura. Ganon kahirap. It's that difficult. We need approvals from the Office of the President. Can you imagine? Just to buy service vehicles, I need an approval from the Office of the President. That money is not coming from them. It's coming from us. So these are the challenges that we face. So it's going to take some time, but it's all budgeted. And within the next 3 years, we hope to be able to acquire all of this. This gives you just an idea of the job prospects in the Freeport over the next 5 years. Tourism is certainly a big thing with all of the new hotels coming up and other tourist-related activities. Shipbuilding, that's in play already. Hanjin went up from 17 to 27 million, to 27,000 workers. BPO, as I explained, that's going to be a major focus for us this year. I want to bring in 20,000 call center agents to live within the Freeport. No? Manufacturing and maritime and logistics. So you have warehousing, specialists, etc. So if we are successful, within 5 years from 100,000, we will be at 150,000 jobs. This is just to capture what is the total contribution of SBMA to the national economy, okay? And what are these contributions? Of course, you have BOC leading that, 15 billion, BIR, 1.8. The 5% government share, that's 500 million. And then the dividends that we gave of 240 million. So SBMA was responsible for close to 18 billion pesos of funds that go to the national government. So it's not only the dividends we give, it's not only the 5%. It's all of the customs duties, it's all of the taxes that are paid here. So SBMA is a very important part because of the substantial contribution that we make to the national economy. So, I just like to close. I hope I didn't take up too much time. I just like to close with this slide, which I've shown the chamber before. And what does it say? It says, the President says, the good news never gets old because it just keeps getting better for the Philippines. As you can see from my presentation, and as I've said, SBMA is in a position now to really go further, no? And take advantage of all of the opportunities that will present itself in the next couple of years. So I would like to thank especially our directors and the management and staff of SBMA for their dedication and their hard work in achieving this stellar performance in 2014. Can I ask the directors, the management staff, and management to please acknowledge and stand up? Tumayo naman kayo. Ha? Directors, managers, yung mga staff, o yan. Yun ang mga yan na naghirap. Okay? I would also like to thank our locators. As I said, your success and your growth is a prime concern. We hope everybody gets to do much, much better in the years to come. And SBMA stands ready to support you. If we have any concerns or differences, this is something that we can always work out. And I think, as I said, if we continue the good governance that we have here in the Freeport, if the locators and the residents fully support each other and all of the stakeholders, especially the mayors, the local government units, there is so much more that we can do here in SBMA. As I said, this is the midpoint of my term, assuming I'm not kicked out by the president who gets elected in June 30. So I will be here for another 3 years. The present board will end on June 30. They are coterminous with the president. But I will be here for the next 3 years. But think of the vision for Subic in the next 5 years. What is the possible vision in Subic? The possible vision is this. Just imagine. We have a container port that's doing 600,000 TEUs. We have 20 call center agents here in the Freeport, making the Freeport a 24/7 economy. That we have really a beautiful place so that tourists flock and come to the Freeport. From 1.2 million, if we are able to successfully launch the tourism programs that we have, I can see that figure easily becoming 4 or 5 million tourists. So just imagine the effect of that on the Freeport. And just imagine the effect of that on the financial performance. Because as SBMA is able to make money, remember, this goes back to the Freeport. 1.6 billion, 800 million is going back in CapEx. And that will happen for the next couple of years. So SBMA can be not only a good place, but I think a great place. But it is very important that all of us, all of the stakeholders, locators, residents, local government units, employees, management of SBMA, that we all hold hands and move forward together, because there is so much more that we can achieve. No? Under the Japanese concept of Kaizen, which I keep on mentioning to you, you cannot rest on your laurels. Every day you must improve yourself. Whether you're a chairman administrator, whether you're a janitor, whether you're a manager, whether you're an entrepreneur, you must continue to improve yourself every day. Because that's not only for you, but that's for your family, that's for your business. And we are so lucky to have all of this opportunity open to us now. Can you imagine what it was like in the time of when the Philippines was no investments coming in? So we are really lucky, and we thank, of course, the Lord for the blessings as far as that is concerned. Because this kind of a performance cannot be achieved if you're only good. You must also be lucky. And we are lucky. We are good and we are lucky. That's why we have been able to take advantages of the opportunities that have been presented to us. So with that, again, I thank President Rose for this great opportunity to the Freeport address. And I wish everyone the best of health and the best of wealth. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was truly inspiring, and we look forward to a more successful year for the Subic Bay Freeport Zone. At this point, may we request the chairman to please remain on stage. But before we continue with the awarding of the Certificate of Appreciation, we'd like to acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Mayor Roland Paulino from Olongapo City and the Honorable Mayor Jose Angelo Dominguez from Castillejos, Zambales. Now proceeding with the awarding of the Certificate of Appreciation, may we call for our dear Chairman, Roberto V. Garcia.
All right, okay, 89.5 FM, my Subic Bay Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now done with the State of the Freeport address. So many things, Paragoy, what do you think? So many things.
Oh, yeah.
There were so many things that they discussed, of course, by